72% of entrepreneurs report mental health concerns. 48% feel overwhelmed every single day. Why is that? Because you're trying to pour from an empty cup. In this episode, we're sounding the alarm. If you don't fill your cup, your business takes a hit. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It's a business risk. Today, we're talking about the ROI of self-care, setting boundaries, and putting your oxygen mask on first so that you can lead with clarity, energy, and power. Let's go ahead and get to it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Success Spectrum Podcast. I'm your host, Kadeem McLean, and I want to share a quick, small story with you. I was talking to a colleague recently, a business partner, and she's more advanced in years, let's say. She's a little bit older, an older lady, and we're having a conversation, and she was telling me all the things that she has going on in a day. She has lists for this, lists for that, lists for the children, for the housework, for the business that she's working in, for the job, just lists upon lists. And it reminded me of myself in terms of what I used to do, which is the busy work. So looking at all this, she was stressed out, and that's what we were talking about. I was giving her some coaching, if you will, and just having a conversation with her. She ended up telling me, of course, that she is stressed out, she's burned out, and she has a little bit of envy for her husband because her husband can sit on the couch and fall asleep just in the middle of the day as if nothing's going on. And she wonders for herself, well, how is he able to just sit on the couch like that? Like, it must be nice and just fall asleep. Not in a negative way, but in the way of her mind is constantly running on things that she feels she needs to get done. If she's not working or doing something, some type of busy work, she feels like she's being unproductive. And I had to challenge her a little bit to say, well, what you're doing is unproductive. You have so many tasks that you need to complete in a day, all of these lists that you have, but how many of them are really paying the bills? How many of them are really revenue generating activities? How many of them are actually priority? Because yes, while all of them may seem important, if you really go through it, not all of them are a priority. Some of them can be left alone for weeks at a time. Some of them can be left alone for days at a time. But there might be 2 to 3 things on that list that are, you know what, I need to get these things done. And I know it because she ended up telling me she created a list she has a 30-year-old, a 28-year-old, and an 18-year-old. And they were away on a cruise, on a trip somewhere in a hotel at the time, something along those lines. She created a list for them of what they should be doing on their trip. And she wasn't on the trip with them. She was at home and they were already gone, but she created a list and sent it to them, right? And I'm just sharing her story, not to put her down or anything along those lines, but just to show you again and illustrate how we can get lost in the busy work, how we can get lost tending to others, how we can get lost in not caring for ourselves and not giving ourselves the time of day that we really need. Further to this point, and again, she wouldn't mind me sharing this, but further to this point, she blocks an hour for her lunch every day because she's a business owner in terms of, again, her and I work in a similar business, but she also has a job. And on that job, in her calendar, she blocks an hour every day for lunch. But then she's oftentimes, more recently, will tell people, yeah, just book over that lunch hour. So you're booking meetings on the time that you blocked for your lunch. And you're telling me that you don't have time for yourself. You feel a little bit overwhelmed and you're a little bit stressed out and you just don't have the time in the day until you go to sleep. And that's exactly why. A lot of you are in that exact same situation, which is why I bring it up. A lot of you are not taking care of yourselves. And I know from personal experience, if you don't take care of you, nobody will. You have to take care of you. You have to take care of yourself. You have to fill your cup because you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you have $0 in your bank account and somebody comes to ask you for money, guess what? You can give them no money. You don't have any. Just like when you have a cup of energy, a cup of, self-care, if you will. It's hard to care for others when you don't really care for yourself. We can see it. It wears you down. You need to take care of you so that you can be your best self for the people around you. Not only that, but you need to be the best self for you, your best self for you. As a subscriber to this podcast or a listener to this podcast, I want to give you $30. How am I going to do that? Enter Rakuten. Rakuten is a platform where you can find deals of the week. And on here, it doesn't matter if you're looking for clothes, doesn't matter if you're looking for electronics, services, food, you can get cash back. $30 cash back, rather 30%, 20%, 4%. You can get Dyson Yeti. I know a lot of us need to file our taxes. Those of us who are late, you can use Intuit TurboTax to file your taxes. Ancestry. There are deals upon deals on here. And here's how it's going to work. I refer you. You click the link in the description. You spend $30 on this platform, guess what? We both get $30 back. Sounds like a win-win deal, doesn't it? Go ahead and click that link in the description and get yourself your $30. And so I thought it was important to just quickly hop on here and talk about this, because if you don't block your calendar to say this is the time for Kadeem, this is the time for whoever, then you are going to continue running until you run out of energy, until you burn out, until you are depleted. And that is exactly how we reach burnout, is always tending to others, always tending to things that seemingly need to be done, and just continuing to do the busy work. I call it busy work because that's all it is. Just because you're busy does not mean you are productive. In fact, I would argue it's the opposite. Because you are busy, you are likely not being productive. There's a difference between production, right, versus being busy. Productivity and busyness are two different things. You can be busy. Your whole calendar can be filled. And again, I'm speaking from experience. My whole calendar could be filled from 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. until 10, 11 at night when I go to sleep. My whole calendar can be filled. But how many of those activities were actually these revenue generating activities? How much did I actually get done in that day? Did I do any productive work? Or did I take care of all the back-end systems, the back-end website, the things that don't matter? Or did I actually reach out to clients and customers and offer them what I have for coaching, who might actually need my services and be looking for my services? What am I taking care of? What am I doing? And it's the same question for you. Are you doing all the busy work, or are you actually being productive? Because you can save yourself so much time by looking at what you do in a day. I dare you to track what you do for a couple of weeks, at least a couple of weeks, ideally a month. But track it for at least a couple of weeks, what you do every minute and every day. And then when that time is up, after the 2 weeks or after the month, depending on how long you decide to track it, look at that list, or even have somebody who you know is objective look at that list and tell them what you're aiming to do. And you can look at that list, they can look at that list and say, okay, but you did 80% of what you did does not work with accomplishing that goal. 80% of the activities, the tasks that you listed in the last 2 weeks and the last month do not actually help you to accomplish that goal. It's just busy work. Get rid of it. Stop it. Focus on that 20%, because that 20% is where 80% of your results come from. And again, that 80%, that's the busy work. What are we doing wasting time? This is just a plea. This is again, sounding the alarm to say, let's focus on the activities that do generate the revenue, that do help us to move towards that goal, whatever goal it might be: entrepreneur goal, financial goal, family goal, personal goal, fitness goal, whatever it is. Focus on that 20%, because if we can reduce, I don't want to say eliminate, because some of that 80%, some of it, again, it's important. So if we can reduce that 80%, that busy work, and then focus on that 20% and maximize that, zoom in on that, then we will be so much more productive. Our goals will come so much faster, and we will be a force to be reckoned with. Listen, if you've been a struggling entrepreneur, you feel like you're putting in so much effort constantly, daily, so much time, effort, and energy, but you feel like you're stretched thin. You feel like you're overworked, overwhelmed, and underpaid. I have a campaign running right now, and it is called the Apex System. This is something that is going to help to change your life as an entrepreneur, because we're going through the system, and I'm going to teach you all about it. A stands for automation, P stands for prioritize, E for elevate, and X for excel. Each of these things, this 4-step system is going to help you to change your life. And instead of being overworked, overwhelmed, and underpaid, you're going to live a life that you really want to live. The reason you started this business, that lifestyle you've been aiming for, we're going to help you to accomplish that by now doing the tasks that you love to do, be overpaid, and have the time to spend with your family, your loved ones, or to have that freedom that you've been seeking. Freedom of time, freedom of location, and of course, freedom of finances. But that only works if you go ahead and you register. apexaffiliation.com/system. Go there, register, so that you can understand how this 4-step system really will help you to elevate. apexaffiliation.com/system. I'll see you there. So again, I plead with you, I encourage you, I'm sounding the alarm here. Take the time for you, block your calendar. I had to tell this lady, I call her auntie, I had to tell her, listen, during that hour lunch break or whatever time you block for yourself, If somebody calls you, your phone is ringing. First of all, you know there's a certain amount of people, 1 to 3 people maybe, where if they call you, you answer the phone, but they don't often call you. However, what I said to her was, in that hour or whatever time you block for yourself, if your phone rings, guess what? It's not an emergency. If you get a text message, guess what? It's not an emergency. You know how I know it's not an emergency? Because if it was an emergency, they would call the police. They would call an ambulance. You're okay. Take that time and get back to them afterwards. Because right now, if you don't take that time for yourself, in a few months, in a few weeks, you will be in a position where you need to potentially call the ambulance. God forbid. But you need to take care of you, because again, that stress, that overwhelm, it is serious. That burnout, it is serious. Stop, pause, take a moment, take some time for yourself, take care of yourself, because again, if you don't take care of you, nobody else can. Nobody else will, so you got to do it. And I want to share a quick fact with you here. 72% of entrepreneurs report mental health concerns, including stress and burnout, which is significantly higher than the general population. Additionally to that, 48% of entrepreneurs report feeling overwhelmed daily, often due to overwork, lack of boundaries, and neglecting personal well-being. Whatever it is you got to do, you got to go for a walk in the morning before you start anything else, when it's still a nice easy breeze outside and the temperature is not too hot, depending on where you live. You got to listen to podcasts. You got to listen to certain types of music. You got to read your Bible. You got to pray, meditate, whatever it is you got to do in the middle of the day. Go to the gym, go for a walk, and in the evening, whatever time of day is best for you, but block off time in the day weekly for you. On a certain day of the week, make sure hands off. Don't do any work. Don't even think about it. Let yourself rest, because again, we are human. We're not machines. And I don't necessarily believe in the whole grind culture. Yes, hustle for sure. But that doesn't mean hustle without breaks, because if you continue going without breaks, you're going to burn out. That's the way it works. If you do not take time for yourself to pause and think. I literally have a sticky note on my desk at home, and it says stop working and think, because I have to constantly remind myself that thinking is some of the most productive work that I can do, because I know if I allow myself to, I will get stuck week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, just working. And again, a lot of that would be busy work. So if I don't pause and think, then I'm not able to make the adjustments I need to make to really achieve what I'm aiming to achieve and do things better with more veracity, right? If that's the right word. So at the end of the day, this is what we need to do. Focus on that 20%, not eliminate again, but reduce that 80% and zoom in on that 20, because that 20 is where your results really come from. So further to these stats really quick, I want to give you the takeaway. As an entrepreneur, your energy, your clarity, those are your greatest assets, your energy and your clarity. So if you don't focus on you, your business takes a hit. Your business is not going to produce the way it can and should produce, because you're not taking care of you. If your cup is empty, your business pays the price. Self-care is not selfish. It's strategic. I hope this episode was helpful for you, and I know it was. And if you benefited from this, if you found it insightful, if you found it helpful in any way, like and subscribe and share this out with somebody who you know can benefit. Kadeem here, and I'll see you in the next one.